The look on Patricia's face when those two veterans rolled out of my garage in their custom wheelchairs is a snapshot burned into my memory forever. She was frozen at the edge of my driveway, clipboard slipping from her hand, HOA complaint letter fluttering down into a muddy puddle at her feet. Her mouth hanging open like she'd just witnessed a ghost, or maybe for the first time in years, realized she'd lost control. And you know what? In that moment, for the first time since I moved to Maple Ridge Estates, the whole street was dead quiet, nobody daring to speak, not even Patricia herself. But hey, let me back up a second so you can really understand how we got here. My name's Robert Anderson. I came to Maple Ridge 4 years ago after losing my wife, Emily. Our old house was just too full of her laughter, too empty at the same time, so I downsized. This new place wasn't anything fancy, but it had a 3-car garage, and for me, that meant a shot at holding on to my sanity. 35 years as a mechanical engineer leaves a man with restless hands and after retirement too much time to get lost in old memories. I found myself fiddling with tools, then full-on rebuilding stuff, anything to keep the silence at bay. That's how I stumbled onto building custom wheelchairs for veterans. Honestly, it all started with my younger brother, Danny. Danny came back from Afghanistan, missing his left leg, stuck with this clunky, mass-produced wheelchair that just didn't fit his 6'4" frame. The thing was more of a prison than a tool for freedom. Watching him struggle, well, it made me mad. You know, if I could design parts for aircraft, I could damn well build a chair that actually worked for my brother. That first project set something loose in me. Word got around Veterans Talk, and soon I had guys calling me up with all sorts of requests. Some needed chairs that could handle rocky trails, others needed special supports for spinal injuries or custom controls because their hands didn't work like they used to. Every project became personal, and every time a new chair rolled out of my garage, I watched a man or woman take back a piece of their independence. That's the kind of thing that gives you purpose, makes you look forward to tomorrow. My garage became a little sanctuary of whirring machines, metal shavings, and possibility. Orders for aluminum tubing and parts showed up like clockwork. I worked reasonable hours, 7 to 5, never late, never loud enough to wake a baby. My neighbors never complained, at least not until Patricia Simmons got involved. Patricia, where do I even start? 15 years in Maple Ridge, president of the HOA Queen Bee with a permanent scowl and a pink tracksuit collection you'd have to see to believe. She ran the neighborhood like her own little kingdom, measuring grass with a ruler, snapping photos of trash cans left out 3 minutes too long. Harold, her husband, trailed after her like a shadow, never said a word. I mostly stayed out of her way until one Tuesday when she decided my garage was an offense to all that was holy in suburbia. I was fine-tuning a new armrest for a young Marine when I heard that sharp, impatient knock. Patricia lips pursed so tight you'd think she just ate a lemon, brandishing her clipboard like a sword. She started right in about noise complaints, never said who from, and waved a formal violation letter in my face, giving me 72 hours to cease and desist or face fines. When I tried to explain what I was doing, veteran rehab, not a business, she cut me off. Rules were rules, she said. And according to her, I was running an illegal manufacturing operation. Never mind, I wasn't charging a dime. She said noise and deliveries were the real issue, and if I didn't comply, she'd escalate things to the county. I called Danny that night. He actually laughed, told me maybe I should just invite her over, let her see for herself. So I did. I walked down to her McMansion, rang the bell, and politely asked her to stop by on Saturday when a couple of veterans were picking up their new chairs. She turned me down flat, said she didn't do garage tours, and dropped the bomb that she'd called a special HOA meeting to deal with my violations. She told me to come plead my case, though you could tell her mind was already made up. So I did my homework: permits, noise level records, letters from the county, stacks of testimonials from the veterans I'd helped. But Patricia had been working the other side, whispering through the neighborhood, getting board members, Richard Hoffman and Janet Torres, riled up about property values and commercial activity. By the night of the meeting, it was clear this was a full-blown war. Here's where things get interesting. I made one call to Colonel James Mitchell, my friend who ran the local veterans support group. I told him what was happening, and he just said, "I'll take care of it." That was it. The meeting was held at the community center, a windowless beige box that smelled like burnt coffee and disappointment. When I pulled up, the lot was overflowing. Inside, there were so many people crammed in veterans in wheelchairs, some built by me, others standing with canes, their families, reporters, local business owners, you name it. Patricia sat up front, face smug and eyes scanning the crowd. But as she realized just how many people were there for me, her confidence started to crack. Colonel Mitchell had mobilized the troops, all right, literally. Patricia tried to run things banging her gavel, but someone in the back yelled out, "This is a public meeting," and the crowd wouldn't let her ignore us. One by one, veterans stood up, Staff Sergeant Williams telling the room how my chair let him play basketball with his kids again. Maria Santos explaining how the controls I designed gave her her job back as a graphic designer. Franklin Boyd, a Vietnam vet, standing up on two prosthetic legs and asking Patricia how she slept at night, trying to take away the little bit of freedom he'd regained. Cameras flashed, reporters scribbled notes, and Patricia started shrinking back in her seat papers, shaking in her hands. Then came the plot twist. State Representative Michael Davidson showed up unannounced. He took the mic, said he'd toured my workshop, seen what I did, and announced new legislation to protect charitable work like mine from HOA harassment. The place erupted, applause, cheers, people hugging. Patricia's voice barely squeaked out when she tried to regain control. She insisted this was just about rules. Someone shouted, "Yeah, what about helping veterans?" And she had nothing. When the board voted, Richard and Janet both turned on her, motioned to table all violations against me. Patricia looked like she'd been stabbed in the back, which, to be fair, she kind of had. Then a local attorney stood up, announced he was filing a formal complaint against Patricia for abuse of power, and started circulating a recall petition right there in the meeting. 17 neighbors signed on the spot. The next morning, I woke up to a street full of news vans and ringing phones. Someone had started a GoFundMe that hit $50,000 by noon. Patricia went on TV to defend herself, but when asked why she targeted a veteran charity, she crumbled, walked off camera, and the video went viral. 3 days later, the HOA held an emergency vote. Richard led it. Patricia sat in the audience. She was recalled, unanimously stripped of her position, forced to issue a formal apology to me and every veteran I'd helped. The city rushed through new ordinances protecting community service workshops. But man, karma wasn't done. Patricia's employer, a real estate firm, issued a public statement distancing themselves, and by Friday she was out of a job. Rumor was Harold, her husband, packed up and left too. The final blow landed when the attorney filed a class action suit. 17 neighbors, years of harassment, potential damages over $200,000. I saw her one last time watching movers pack up her stuff, looking hollow and lost like a queen whose castle had crumbled overnight. She caught me looking. Something flickered in her eyes, maybe regret, maybe just fear. Then a sheriff's deputy walked up and handed her the lawsuit paperwork. $237,000 in damages plus legal fees. She dropped to her knees sobbing, yelling it was all unfair, that she was just doing her job. But nobody bought it. That's the thing about power. It's only real if people believe in it. So here's the question I've been chewing on ever since. Where do you draw the line between rules and compassion? Did Patricia get what she deserved, or did the neighborhood go too far? What would you have done standing in my garage watching the whole world finally see the good you'd tried to do? Let me know down in the comments, because honestly, I think we all have a little Patricia and a little Robert in us, and maybe it's time we figure out which side we want to be on.